Truth. Unforbidden. Truth. Podcast. Unforbidden. Truth. Podcast.
Welcome to Unforbidden Truth. I'm Andrew. This interview is going to be a lot different than my usual interviews in normal format. I originally had an interview scheduled with James Baxton, aka Frank White, aka Grown. James Baxton is an alleged godfather for the Nine Trey Gangsters, a set of the United Blood Nation. James Baxton is one of many individuals that was involved in the Daniel Hernandez AKA Tekashi69 trial. Before we could record an interview, James Baxton was forced to back out of our interview, but really wanted his story told, so he put me in touch with his sister and his girlfriend, whom will be speaking for him throughout the entire interview. Before being indicted on conspiracy and racketeering, James Baxton was convicted of attempted murder, robbery, criminal possession of a weapon, and assault. He was serving the remainder of his prison sentence when Daniel Hernandez was arrested and shocked the world after working with the federal government to avoid essentially dying in prison in exchange for all the information he had on the people that he had around him, alleged gang members of the Nine Trey Gangsters. Daniel Hernandez, Tekashi himself, pled guilty to racketeering, conspiracy, firearms offenses, and narcotic trafficking charges. He admitted he joined a New York City gang and helped try to kill a rival gang member. I'm reading this from TheGuardian.com, an article called Rapper Tekashi69 Pleads Guilty to 9 Crimes and Says He Joined Gang. I did this to maintain or increase my own standing in Nine Trey, he told Judge Paul A. Engelmeyer. He said he also knew that another member of Nine Trey had a gun and discharged that gun. The rapper said he also helped other gang members rob people at gunpoint as part of a pledge by new gang members to commit at least 2 crimes. Daniel Hernandez's own stepfather was murdered when he was just 13 years old. Daniel Hernandez has a child sexual performance conviction stemming from 2015. He was 18 years old when he was present when he had physical contact with a 13-year-old girl and later distributed videos of the incident online, which was part of a music video. He was sentenced to 4 years probation for that case. Throughout his social media feuds with fellow rappers, Hernandez allegedly had members of the gang assault rapper Trippie Redd at a hotel in New York City in 2017. In March 2018, Hernandez and his then manager Shotty attacked rapper Frenchie BSM in New York. That same night, Hernandez, Shotty, and other gang members waited in 2 separate cars outside of a recording studio near Times Square, where Frenchie got into a van, after which Shotty fired 5 shots at the van, though there were no injuries. In April 2018, a video surfaced online of Hernandez filming gang members robbing other musicians at gunpoint, taking their jewelry and backpacks. Shortly before Tekashi69's song Gumma went viral, he acted as a middleman in a drug deal, selling 1 kilogram of heroin. The heroin sold for $46,000 and Hernandez was able to keep $2,000. Hernandez did an interview with The Breakfast Club, a morning radio show, and seemed to get under the skin of a lot of gang members, former associates of his. FBI agents were tapping the phone of Jamel Jones, aka Mel Murda. Mel Murda was allegedly the highest ranking member of Nine Trey on the streets. On a phone call that was recorded by the FBI, Mel could be heard saying that Hernandez needs to be super violated. James Baxton was into his 27th year bid when he was indicted on racketeering conspiracy charges, alongside dozens of other co-defendants that had similar charges and or stacked on charges on top of the conspiracy racketeering. James Baxton was tried and convicted, receiving a 20-year federal prison sentence. His projected release date is July 22, 2036. Here's my interview with the girlfriend of James Baxton, followed by an interview with his sister. Thank you for listening. How and when did you meet Frank?
We had 2 mutual friends that he was locked up with. One was like my brother, and something had happened, and the one that was like my brother, me and him got into like a big disagreement, and he got to, telling me off or whatever, but it really wasn't my fault. And he explained it to him, and from there we became cool.
Was Frank already in prison for the state charges?
Yes. I met him in 2009.
How far into his sentence was he when you two met, when you two first started dating?
He was in there since 95, so from 95 to 2009.
How long were you guys together before you guys got married?
I don't know why he says that. We're not married. We were supposed to get married when we were supposed to sign the papers. This is 2012. His birth certificate didn't have his name on it. It had male with his last name. and they wouldn't accept it. And we've been trying to get him a birth certificate since then, but it's kind of hard because he's in prison, and it's like that you have to make a correction. So it's not like you're just trying to get you a copy of it. You have to put in a correction, and that's kind of hard because he's in prison.
With the case that he's in prison for now, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was doing a 28-year prison sentence. He had served 27 years of that 28 sentence, and he was just about to be released until he got new charges. Is that right?
Correct. Very, very correct. That happened in 2017, and he would have been released 2019.
Do you know if there were any other individuals that had similar charges like him that were about to get out and got
No, no,
slapped with
no.
new
The rest
charges?
of them had, if not life, damn near life.
So the other ones were doing long stretches and just got
Exactly.
slapped with federal charges and are in the feds waiting for their sentence to expire to go back to state?
Not so much so because can I say to other people? Like, because with Magoo, they sent Magoo to Colorado. And with the other one, they sent him back to the state. They sent him and James back to the state. But Magoo got sent straight to Colorado. So once the other one finishes up his time in the state, he'll be shipped to the feds like James was.
This entire case that he's in prison for now stems from Daniel Hernandez, aka Tekashi69. Can you talk about your affiliations with him, your interactions, and the affiliations and interactions he had with James as well?
I've met him one time, and he lied. He never gave me $5,000. He gave me $500, and he spoke to James a handful of times, and all of the conversations were positive, telling him to stay out of the street life and concentrate on being a musician. But we see how that turned out.
Did you meet him like physically in person?
Yeah, he came to my house one time.
What was your first impression of him? When you first met him, was he portraying the yelling and screaming like he does all the
No,
time?
he
And
seemed like a cool. Well, I'm a little. He seemed like a cool kid, and we happened to be from the same part of Bushwick, Brooklyn, which is Bushwick. So it was cool to see, somebody representing where you from. But it didn't turn out like that.
the story goes that he originally gave you 5,000 and you were supposed to
Yeah,
split it
and I don't
between
know
two
where that
people.
number came from until I saw it on TV. I met him one time. He came to my house to give me $500 for him. So this is when he was going to court in North Carolina. So that was going towards, clothes, phones,
Why do
because
you think he told the prosecution that it was 5,000 instead of 500?
because that's a big number. And I'm not sure if it's like, how if you rob somebody of a certain amount of money, you get a greater charge. Like if I was to rob you for $200, it wouldn't be as bad if I robbed you for 5,000. So I think that's why big number to make it seem like a crime. So it can turn into a crime. Like maybe he was trying to extort him or something. Like push comes to shove, it could be used against him at a later date because of that large amount. But lucky for me, the truck he was in was the truck that was tapped. So everything was on camera. Like they know what he gave me.
Were you ever implicated? Were you ever, named like a suspect in anything, or were they trying to ever slap charges on you?
I don't know because I've never been questioned or asked to come in. So outside of him, saying he gave me something, that's all that I can speak on. Outside of that, I don't know. I've never been asked any questions by the feds or anything like that. So
Hmm. So you didn't have any interaction with the feds or anything while his trial was going on or anything?
yeah, to call and make sure they were feeding him. We had problems with that where I would have to call and get in contact with the people who arrested him to make sure he was eating because he has a kosher diet. So
Hmm.
outside of, that, nothing dealing with myself. No. Whenever I spoke with the feds, it was pertaining to him.
So there was never like, we'll give you $50,000 if you give us something on your boyfriend, or
No.
did you have any interactions with any of his other like co-defendants, or I guess their families at the time?
I always speak with Magoo here and there. I was cool with him. But outside that, that's about it.
Does James get along with his other co-defendants in these cases? From what I read, there's over a dozen.
He doesn't even, it was 82 people on his case. And out of those 82 people, he may have knew maybe five. And I'm probably being extra with that. He didn't know those people. And most of them from North Carolina. He's been in jail since 1995. He had no contact with those people. He couldn't probably tell you what they look like.
So a lot of these crimes, from what I understand, were ordering hits on what Trippie Redd and Chief Keef and other rappers and drive-bys and so on and so forth that he claims. I think Tekashi claims he said in open court that this person and this person and this person, instructed him to do it, and what it was, he was basically paying all these alleged gang members to make him look like a gang member. Is that what was going on here?
I have no idea. And he doesn't even, James probably does not even know a Chief Keef song. He's not in that age bracket at all. And he was already had the federal case when he met Tekashi. Tekashi brought him up in his case for whatever reason. I still don't know why. Because he had nothing to do with whatever he was doing. Like I said, the times he spoke with Tekashi, he told him to stay out of the street, concentrate on being a musician. But he wanted to be a gangster. However, his interpretation of a gangster, what she turned into being a snitch, talking about things like that have, why mention me? What reason was like, what's the reason? I can see you mentioning them because of who they are, but I'm not in that lifestyle. He did whatever he had to do to get out of his situation, and he don't care who he brought down. See, he's living his best life free. He just gave his girlfriend 4 Birkin bags, so he's not worried about them.
Do you know if he still goes to Bushwick or Brooklyn or any places like that?
If he does, it's just how he did in Chicago at an hour where nobody is outside.
Hmm.
Or with the arms with the security guards. He shot a video here, 2 years ago? And he had nothing but security with him.
Oh, is that where they were pulling him in a wheel or like a wagon or something?
I think so. This is like when he first came out and he had nothing but security with him.
He still has a career, but it seems like he's still slowly pushing on, but I
I
think he'll
don't think
eventually
he
fade
has a
out.
career anymore. He doesn't have no songs. The only career he has is Instagram. And why he's on trending now because of his girlfriend's birthday. It's not for his music.
It seems that whenever like a rapper loses somebody to gun violence or something, he's quick to hop on Instagram and, troll them or clown them or whatever. Like, so in the streets, when that happens, say, your homie, whatever, gets killed in a drive-by shooting, when somebody does that, is just like mocking them, whatever. Is that the same as like being a snitch? Is that like grounds to just take somebody out because they're like
I
disrespecting the
am
dead? That
so not into that lifestyle. But what I will say is, look at what happened to Alpo. It's going to catch us. It doesn't have to be today. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. But your past will catch up with you. Alpo is a perfect example of that. He was out here living his best life, thinking everything was good. When you least expect it, that's my take on that. You don't know what's gonna happen 20 years from now. And then by then he might be broke. because he's not making no music, and you're a musician.
How have you and Frank managed to keep your relationship so strong after, over a decade of him being locked up? Well, you've been together, I should say, over decades of him being locked up while you two have been together.
I ask myself that question. I guess a sense of it's like, how can I say? It's like we have the same type of principles. If you give somebody your word, you stick with it. And he was there for me when I was at my lowest, and I was there for him when he was at his lowest. So it's like we made a bond, we made a pact, and we just sticking to it. And it's a and love plays a big part, but it's not easy at all because you think 2009, 2019, that's 10 years right there. And who thought he would catch these charges in 2017 to get 20 more years? So it's extremely hard, but it's a bond. It's like an unbreakable bond.
Now that he's in federal prison, which is even worse conditions from what I've heard from state prisons, are you able to still, like talk to him regularly like you would in a state prison and visit or video visit, anything of that sort?
Well, the pandemic changed everything. So prior to the pandemic, it would have been every week, not a problem visiting, but pandemic, that changed everything. Nothing is the same. Phone calls, visits, nothing is the same. Because they shut them down maybe 2 months ago for like 2 to 3 weeks because of the coronavirus. Like right now, visitation is suspended. So coronavirus came, that changed everything. And they only get visits for 3 hours, and there's a shower curtain in between you, and you're sitting 6 feet apart. You can't feed them. As to where before the visit was like 6, 7 hours, and you get to feed them, and you at a table. You have privacy. All of that's out the window now. Now, you're screaming at each other, and like you're in other people's conversations because everybody's screaming. So it's way different because of the pandemic. And it's probably going to be canceled now because there's a new strain out. So looks like we might be on lockdown again. It's looking like it's going towards that direction.
After these trials and convictions and everything, if you or if James, had the opportunity to address not only the prosecution but Tekashi69, is there anything that you'd want to say to him on behalf of James?
Yes, let's be honest and tell the truth. Let's be honest and tell the truth. Yeah. Stop trying to look for a scapegoat for the things that you were out there doing because that's what you chose to do. As for the judge, the same thing, let's be honest, because it's a backstory with that also. If you did if you research it, it's a whole backstory with the judge who was in charge of his trial. He shouldn't have been the judge because he already had a run-in with the blood, so you couldn't do your job honestly when you already have a past with somebody. Not even somebody, but with that organization.
Is there anything that you'd like the general public to know about yourself or Frank for that matter before we conclude this interview?
I'm just as called Cardi B voice, regular schmegular girl from Brooklyn. I work. I'm not into that lifestyle at all. For him, he's not who the people portray him to be at all. He's the nicest, kindest. People say it all the time. He'll give the shirt off his back, literally. He'll feed you food if you're hungry, type of a person. You having a problem, he'll try to talk you to death to try to solve your problem. That the quote unquote Frank White person, I don't know that person. That's why I call him James. Frank White is not the person I know at all.
Hi, everyone. I'm James Frankie Baxton's sister. He's right now incarcerated in prison and in the federal prison at USP Canaan in Pennsylvania. So he couldn't really do the interview. So I'm here covering for him, doing the interview for him and everything. And I'm just would like to say that I hope everybody takes heed to what happened with the Tekashi 69 case, and that everyone just take it to their best knowledge and free my brother because he's innocent and he didn't do the crime that he said that they are claiming that he did towards them and everything like that. So it goes to show that when you get into these type of situations, that you can't trust anyone, and that people out there will do anything to get free and shorten their time and stuff like that. So they'll take a innocent person like my brother James Frankie Baxton and use him against the wolves out there and stuff. So I just would like to say that I want to thank everybody for listening to this podcast, giving me the opportunity to speak for him because right now, like I say, he's incarcerated in jail and he can't speak on his behalf. So I'm here to speak on his behalf for him. Thank you and have a great day. God bless.
What's your birth given name and where were you born and raised at?
My birth given name is James Frankie Baxton, and I was born in Harlem, a borough in Manhattan. But I was raised there until the age of 9 and then moved up to the South Bronx. In addition to that, I lived in Brooklyn and Queens. So I rep for the entire New York City as well as for all the good and grown all over the world.
Why do you always use the word grown? Where does it come from and what does it mean to you?
It's my motto, which is if it ain't grown, leave it alone. And it comes from 1 Corinthians 13 and serve as a reminder to behave as grown and leave the childish shit alone.
Can you walk me through each individual charge that you caught in 1991? The criminal possession of a weapon, the attempted murders, assault, and promoting prison contraband charge, and the abuse from law enforcement?
Well, it all started out with possession of a weapon until other charges was filed against me while on Rikers Island. As for the attempted murders and the robberies charge, it was 11 people against me, and by American standard, I overreacted and was charged with shootings and robbing those that attempted to oppose me. While on Rikers Island, I was charged with assault and promoting prison contraband, which led to my being sentenced to a total of 28 years. The minimum was 13 and a half years, and had the parole board released me after that, I would have been released in 2006. But the New York State Department of Corrections and Parole Board felt they needed to keep me in for the entire sentence of 28 years, in which I did day for day. And as far as the abuse I suffered from the pigs, I'll start by saying they weren't law enforcement because law enforcement do not abuse you. It is pigs that do that, and pigs jumped me and even sick a canine dog on me while on the island in '97. And that was because I knocked my neighbor out in the pound. OBCC Bing. I've had my run ins with the pigs up there who had set out to abuse me. Prison is not a place for fun and games. And when in here, you get it from both sides. So I had to defend myself from pig and inmate, but never the prisoner comrade. My brother Pee Wee said it the best in his article about Rikers Island in 1991. We have a mutual understanding, and he can tell you what the superintendent said about me and 4 officers against me with their batons on video. He wasn't concerned about my health. He was just saying how I can fight while being attacked by 4 officers and their baton. Of course, I got the assault while they got another day at work.
After you were arrested, how did you feel? Did you feel fear? And did you think you were going to do a couple years and then make it out? And what does a regular day consist of for you?
It consisted and still do consist of me waking up to my mantra and reality, which is I'm stronger than my pain, and please don't get in my fucking way, especially now that I'm in here for something I'm not even guilty of.
What was your disciplinary record like in New York DOC?
To be honest with, I was accused of having over 30 slashings and stabbings, but what it should have said was this nigga was defending himself because that's exactly what I was doing in that hell they call prison. My upstate record said something similar, but it also say I obtained my high school diploma and my honorable diploma in psychology social work. In addition, I got vocational training and other programs such as drug and alternative to violence programs.
In 2018, the federal government indicted Daniel Hernandez, aka Tekashi69, on crimes of racketeering and conspiracy. That is, he and others conspired to commit crimes such as narcotic trafficking, murders, and Hobbax robbery, and it's said that it was for the nation he and others call you a leader of. Can you explain what went on and wrong here, and why he mentioned your name and how you two met?
I'll start off by saying that the government used Tekashi69 to say he did his crimes for the UBN, United Blood Nation. But if you scrutinize everything that led up to the indictment, you'll realize that all he was involved in was for the rap game and his career. I met him through my Grony, Roe Murder, Grown, and the other Gronies, Shotty and Mel Matrix. And every time I spoke with him, I told him he needed to follow the likes of Jay-Z, 50, and Fat Joe, who talk street gangster shit, but keep it in the studio. And when in the streets, they avoid crime. He didn't listen to me. The ungrown shit about what he did, though, was when he mentioned me and Magoo's name about our leadership positions. But he didn't tell the audience that the ungrown shit about what he did, though, was that me and Magoo didn't tell him he had to commit crimes to be a blood Nine Trey gangster. He didn't tell them how I used to always give him good advice. And he failed to tell the audience that the feds told him to lie on my groany hard. My position is this: if you do a crime, then do your time. And if someone is innocent, then say that. He's out there denouncing gangs, but he's not denouncing the system that showed him firsthand that they pay witnesses to fabricate while on the stand. Tell the truth, Tekashi69. This is Frank White that showed you brotherly love whenever we encountered each other. You know firsthand what type of person I am when showing my comradeship because I extended it to you every time. And please stop lying about the amount of money you gave my wife for me. And it wasn't gang dues, it was a show of support. You employed street dudes with street cred like all rappers do to get a pass to go around hoods that you normally wouldn't survive in if you didn't connect with those that can keep the wolves off that ass. Again, he did nothing for Nine Trey Gangsters. All he did was to boost his music career.
Let's talk about the crimes that you're indicted for, which was racketeering conspiracy. How did those charges come about while you were sitting in a state prison?
That's a great fucking question. And the answer to that is I'm a victim of social media madness, which provides access to people all over the world, including those incarcerated. And some people found my contact via New York State DOC and put money in my account. So a few individuals did that without me ever asking them, and the government labeled it gang dues that was sent to me from those that was indicted with me. Now, I don't know anything about their crimes and where the money came from. The amount was $31 five times, and I got a RICO conspiracy charge for being labeled the leader because people put my name on paperwork that I never approved of and never needed to be validated due to me being one that's self made, established, fully grown. This got me a RICO conspiracy charge. RICO conspiracy entailed that you agree that you or a co-conspirator commit the substantive offense racketeering predicate act, which is crimes such as murder, robbery, drug trafficking, etc., in furtherance of the alleged enterprise. This is the issue at hand. It was needed to be validated due to me being one that's self made, established, fully grown. This is the issue at hand. It was 83 of us indicted, but the crimes that was committed was not for the alleged UBN Nine Trey Gangster Bloods, but coward line ass rats like Omari, Uno B. Rosero, and 70 others pled guilty and admitted that they did crimes for the UBN when they didn't. The irony in all this is that the rats that testified at trial said that they committed their crimes for themselves, but Uno B and his rat ass wife and all the other line ass rats like Lady Guns and Billy Guns lied for the government for lenient pleas. At sentencing, my lawyer argued the law under 18 USSG 3553A, sentencing disparity, which is an issue concerning those sentenced for the same conviction and got a certain sentence. But the judge is trying to give you 20 years for what he gave a co-defendant or some other defendant 87 months. You can challenge your sentence under that ground. And my lawyer did that, but because Uno B and them helped the government prove the biggest lie, they got lenient sentences. Truth be told, they didn't do their alleged crimes for blood. Whatever they did was for their personal gain. In order for it to be for blood or me and Magoo, you would have to be told by us to do the crime and what percentage to give us. There's no record of that. It's a good and grown day, though, because I'm on my way due to the court giving the jury two non-racketeering charges to the jury and telling them to deliberate, and my lawyer failure to object led up to me receiving ineffective assistance of counsel. The Fourth Circuit just ruled that RICO conspiracy is not a crime of violence, so Grown is about to be on his way to grown. It would be good if Michael Burnett, aka Money Mike from Newburgh in North Carolina, told the truth about his jailhouse informant lies paid for by the government. Michael Burnett, you and I know the truth about the lies you testified to at my trial, about me and others that are innocent. I know you were scared to go to Big Sandy and you used me to escape that. But be honest and tell the truth because I'm innocent and have a family too. I never did you harm, and I shared with you while we were in USP Atlanta. While there, I told you I didn't even know about the indictment and that I was innocent and that I never told anyone to do crimes. Hopefully, your conscience motivates you to help me mend this injustice. I remain good and grown.
Do you have anything else that you would like to say?
Yes, I'd like to say to all those that counted grown out, keep that same energy. And that my BFF and love for life. Thanks for never giving up on me. My siblings, thanks for tolerating my madness for these years and for not giving up on me. Y'all know I remain grown because of you and my daughter and son that I want to beat up just one time. Just once. I'm a father to them from this cage, and I never got the chance to beat them up. Laugh out loud. I grown all them for life, and my son P grown. I grown you for life. Keep up the positive work, and thanks for never betraying me. Who gangster grown, you know how we grown. Continue to stand grown on. We're stronger than our pain. Scooby grown, BJ grown, Gotti G, Panday G, Noise G, Esco G, S. Dot G, Roll, Roll MG, Melly MG, Shotty G, Satan G, Ty BG, and the rest of my grownies and grownettes, Mrs. Gangsta Grown, and the rest. Y'all know if it ain't grown, leave it alone. Shorts and my good grony from Cyprus. Thanks for always groaning for me whenever I call. Stay where you are. Stay where you at, groaning. You know I grown you for life. Chan grown too. Grown you all for life. Yaga, thanks for always being a call away comrade. Grown you for life. My BFF Lamar Williams, who and Peppo, y'all know we're always one. Grown y'all. Ronnie, Donnie, Valerie, Keisha, and Kiki. Manny, Moondog, Naru, and the Pastor Larry boys. I grown y'all for life. We'll be together soon. Free all the innocent Pete Rock and Corey, Stanley, Linwood, and Russ, Rennie, my brother-in-law, Paul Duchesne. I grown all my Cypress boys for life. My Harlem World Gronies, Snoop, Randy Love, Joe Lovett, and the one that made me a crazy man in jail, the one and only Boogie Blind. Man, you taught me how to do this jail shit, grown you for life. Ewok too. My brother Skeeter, Boo Brown, you know we're one for life. We'll be together real soon too, grown. Grown is on the way. Jay-Z, Puff Daddy, and 50, and niggas like Fat Joe, y'all help me stay about my bag and grown. I fucks with all getting money niggas. Get it and don't stop. Little Baby and Little Dirk, Gucci Man, Mon Stop. Money Bag Yo and Cardi B and my effing amigos, y'all get it. I grown y'all for life. Sunny Black Grown, you know you're my first grown, and that's special. Stay grown, and you know you're always secured by Gangsta Grown. Loud Pack Grown, stay groaning. J Rock and Stacks Grown, let's continue to groan on these busters that hate. F 'em. Montana Grown and the rest of the Gronies, Jug Life Grown, Boom Jew Grown, and Harv Grown, stay grown. We're there. And Andrew Dodge Grown, AD Grown, I got you, like I said. Now watch this podcast, Grown Out. All the groans around the world support my groaning. AD Grown.
That was my interview with James Baxton via his sister and his longtime girlfriend. Go check out my Patreon, patreon.com/unforbiddentruth. You can get access to additional interviews, get access to viewing items in a virtual true crime artifact gallery, and much more. Thank you for listening.
Unforbidden truth. Unforbidden truth. Podcast. Unforbidden truth. Podcast.